Everybody, what is going on? It is Crypto Bobby. Hope you are having a great day, great night, wherever you are watching in from. Wanted to pop in here for a little bit of a quick YouTube live this Friday evening. Hope you guys are having an awesome day so far. A little bit dull in terms of what's going on. What's up, Paul? What's up, Alpha? What's up, Daniel, Nana? Hope you guys are having a good one. Let me just make sure the sound and everything like that is all set to go. 1 second here. Sweet. It looks like we got Sean, Jew, what is up, Jerry? Figured we'd touch on a couple different things so far that I've been seeing and just kind of keeping an eye on. And I was about to talk a little bit just as far as like Bitcoin kind of remaining fairly steady in this. It's kind of a little choppy range today that we've seen, but there are definitely a couple other cryptocurrencies that I've seen that surprisingly have held up fairly well in terms of the overall bear market. And I was looking at a few of them today: Ontology, OmiseGO, and surprisingly Verge. Even though Verge had kind of my favorite Dogecoin Dark, which I make fun of quite a bit, but Verge had a like a pretty, I don't want to say disastrous hack, but essentially some not so great things happening with Verge from a mining standpoint that they've had to deal with, and it really hasn't affected the price too much, which I thought has been pretty interesting. A lot of other cryptocurrencies I feel like would have taken a massive hit. Verge gang hodled strong, so pretty interesting to watch that all pan out. But kind of starting off the conversation today too. I tweeted about this before, but Ontology, which is one that I've slowly been keeping a little bit of an eye on just in general. And Ontology is one that, if you look at it from kind of where it came out after the release in early March, it went up pretty quickly off the top to about $3 at one point in time, maybe even a little bit above $3. Pulled all the way down to about $1.25, but has slowly climbed back up over the past couple weeks, which I think is pretty damn incredible. When you're looking at it, Cali Crypto says you dropped the ball on ONT. Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have put my entire portfolio in it in the past. In the past couple of months, because everything else has been bleeding out like crazy, whereas Ontology has shown some relative strength. And I've heard some people talk about Ontology just in general. And to be clear, I own zero of this whatsoever, but just looking at the resilience, I have been thinking about diving into it in a little bit more depth. I think the team is pretty closely related, with Neo. There are a couple members, obviously. I'll pop down here too. But one thing too that I think is fairly interesting when you look at this is somebody had mentioned on Twitter that I believe they were at the Neo DevCon, and at Neo DevCon they were giving out, I think it was 1,000 ONT tokens to provide your email to sign up to their newsletter. That 1,000 tokens is now worth 3,000, or I think it was between 500 and 1,000 tokens just for signing up for their newsletter at Neo DevCon. And that was, I think, back in early January before the token was released. That, just to give them your email address now, would have been between, let's say, $1,500 and $3,000, which is pretty crazy to think about. Somebody said they bought ONT at 16,000 sats. That's a nice move there, John. Damn nice move. Yeah, somebody said something about not getting a notification. I think YouTube's notifications, I don't know what's going on with YouTube's notifications recently, but I haven't seen, I've heard a couple of different people complaining about that one for sure. But outside of Ontology, another one that I'm keeping an eye on, and this was one that I sold off, but in the past week or so, it's definitely shown some resilience against a lot of the other assets out there. I think OmiseGO has definitely looked nice, going up from about 825 all the way up to 950 or so, when almost everything else is taking quite a bit of a dip here. So I think OmiseGO is another one where it's still now, I mean, there were certain points in time where I think OmiseGO was over $2 billion market cap. Now it's slightly below slightly below $1 billion, I believe. But if we pop over to on-chain FX, what do we got here? Take a look at the all-time high. I mean, it's still 66%, approximately 67% below the all-time high, which is pretty, pretty steep discount when you're looking at it. So taking a look at some of these questions here. ICX approaching a double bottom. Sandeep, yeah, I think ICX has performed pretty rough in the past week or so. Let me pull up Icon here too. In terms of platform plays, Icon has just gotten absolutely worked. The most platform plays have as well. Yeah, Icon's still down a pretty strong 84% from its all-time high. Its all-time high was what, $1.87, or excuse me, $12 is now down to $1.87. It's down to sub $2, continuing, kind of continuing that move downwards. I mean, that might be considered a double bottom. What's happening with ADA? I mean, I think a similar thing right now is happening with kind of Cardano, ADA. A lot of these platforms that maybe aren't getting the momentum that people are perhaps hoping for. I think you're seeing a pretty similar scenario happen with, let's see, we'll pop up the all-time high percentage down. Our chain has actually held up the best out of, in terms of the all-time high, our chain has held up the best out of the platforms, which is interesting. I have a small allocation of our chain in my portfolio. I like it. I think they could definitely improve if they improve their branding and some of the communication, some of the messaging. Our chain has is undervalued in comparison to some of the other platforms out there, which I think is fairly a good bargain at this point in time, and I kind of like the strength that it's showing right now. What's up, Jadman? What's going on? Any negative news today? So I don't think there's any negative news. A couple of the notable things that have popped up is, number one, George Soros's family office, or his macro investing fund, Soros Fund Management, preparing to trade cryptocurrencies. That's one of the big things that people are talking about a bunch today. So that is, I know people have all types of opinions on that. I personally don't really, I haven't done an incredible amount of research on George Soros, nor I guess I should now, but I haven't done an incredible amount of research on that. But that was, I think, the one big piece of news today. On the other side of the house, Coinbase, yesterday and today, Coinbase dominated the news quite a bit as well. When we look today, the news came out that Coinbase is in talks to become an SEC registered brokerage, which I think would be a pretty big deal. Yesterday's news was big news, not so big news, depending upon who you heard it from and kind of what your expectations were. CNBC, which is basically becoming the BuzzFeed of cryptocurrency. CNBC has came out and was tweeting massive news to be announced on Fast Money, or on whatever it was, that the TV program last night. And the big news was two different things. Number one, Coinbase to support the withdrawal of Bitcoin forks, and then later on, the Coinbase is starting up a venture capital fund to invest in blockchain crypto related projects as well. So those were the two pieces of news that were announced yesterday on CNBC. On the other end of the spectrum, though, today, the fact that Coinbase is in talks to become an SEC regulated brokerage, I think that is, in my opinion, if that happens, that's much bigger news than Coinbase allowing to support the withdrawal of Bitcoin forks, or also the potential of them starting up a venture capital fund. I think the size of the fund wasn't incredibly notable in comparison to a lot of the other competitors out there. So thoughts on Pearl? Help Donovan. I haven't done a ton of research on Pearl. Airdrop next week. Haven't done a whole lot of airdrops recently, kind of at all. Not a big airdrop guy, but there are times when it's free money, like I was just talking about before with Ontology. I believe they had an airdrop, and I also believe that they think there was an Ontology airdrop to Neo holders. There was also just basically the free giveaways of Ontology as well. And the same thing happened with Polymath, where Polymath gave away, if you signed up at one point in time, the Polymath tokens that they gave away, I think, were worth a couple $100s. So there's a lot of people out there that could use that couple $100, and who knows about giving away free money, but from an airdrop perspective, I'm not always the biggest person out there on that. On the other end of the spectrum, though, Neo, I don't own any Neo. I do like it from a platform play perspective. There are issues with centralization. There are criticisms, at least that I've seen with Neo, but there are companies and ICOs launching on it and distributed applications being built on it. But a lot of the value that I've seen in a lot of these other platforms is the DApps and the ICOs. So looking at some of these questions, some of these comments here. Yeah, I saw some of you guys might have seen on Twitter today when I was joking around about my my new large bag of Tron. What do we have here? What do we got? Yeah, I'm holding strong about 2,887 Tron. So I'm really holding a big bag of Tron. Big fan of them calling out Ethereum today, and by that I'm kidding. I think that was pretty ridiculous, but I guess to each their own. If they want to call out Ethereum and make those claims, then go for it. But that is I think calling out, making those assumptions and saying you're better than Ethereum, and when you are still in a testnet, I think that's pretty ridiculous. And I thought Vitalik Buterin's comments back were pretty hilarious as well. So, yeah, Control V. So looking at some more of these comments, and then outside of that too, like I was saying before, with I think some of the conversation around Coinbase, there is, at least in my opinion, the mergers and acquisitions in this space is starting to heat up quite a bit, and I think that's something that you also want to keep an eye on as well. Coincheck, which was the exchange behind the $500 million NEM hack that happened. Coincheck was just bought out by Monex Group in Japan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Monex Group or Monex Group, but they bought out Coincheck for $33.5 million, and Monex Group's stock actually popped pretty significantly on the news as well. I think it was up about 20% at the time of the announcement. And I think a lot of companies are looking, and from what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling, kind of a lot of companies are looking to potentially get exposure into the cryptocurrency markets, whether it's from the exchanges or not. So who knows? YouTubers not talking about Electroneum patent are clearly missing the boat. LOL. I mean, there's also there's a lot of companies out there with a patent. Like, let's not say that that's the biggest thing. Maybe I haven't evaluated the patent, so I can't specifically speak to it. There was also talk about a 51% attack on Electroneum. So, I mean, you have a patent and maybe you have a 51% attack. I don't think either of those are confirmed. I'm on the Electroneum email list just because I like to get emails from a lot of these projects, and I read through that, but I haven't gotten a chance to actually dive through the what the patent contains or kind of how much. But I haven't been the biggest fan of ETN in the past, and I know a lot of people like it, so I don't want to sit here and disparage it, but it's just not my cup of tea. I'll say that. What's up, Any Ghost? Wow, thank you. I appreciate that super chat. Super kind of you. Crypto to be adopted for transactional use, prices must stabilize, but for prices to stabilize, market caps have to reach a density only attainable by mass adoption. Thoughts on chicken and egg? I guess that's definitely something that a lot of people have mentioned as far as one of the reasons that you're not seeing cryptocurrency utilized in a transactional manner because of the lack of stability. If you want Bitcoin to be the cryptocurrency or whatever, to be the cryptocurrency that people utilize to spend when they're buying a cup of coffee or going out for dinner or whatever, you want that to happen. But if the price goes from $20,000 to $5,000, that level of instability I don't think is conducive to people spending that. It's more of a speculative investment instrument at this point in time, at least in my opinion. So when you look at that, I think some of the comments, some of the commentary there maybe isn't only around just the stabilization of market caps, but it's also around stable coins. And there are a lot of crypto projects now outside of just Tether, because I think Tether has shown that outside of just trading, there is somewhat of a demand for stablecoin in the market, but Tether hasn't been able to prove through a variety of factors, the lack of audit, all that good stuff, that they are potentially legit or maybe not legit. Who really knows at this point in time, just because there hasn't been an incredible amount of solid, provable information. So there are a number of other coins out there like Make or Die. There is Haven. There is Basecoin. There's a handful of stable coins now, and some people are pointing to stable coins as something that people would rather spend maybe than than Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatever. So something to consider. David mentions Ravencoin. So I started going through the newly released white paper. I think that just came out recently. I actually started going through this because I do like Bruce Fenton, and he's one of the main guys behind it. So I started going through Ravencoin a little bit this morning. Pretty low market cap in terms of just the overall size, sub $30 million market cap. I was thinking about kind of diving into potentially acquiring some. It's only traded on CryptoBridge and Nanex. Shout out to Kyle Babcock, because I know he's the CEO of Nano. Just kidding. But no, shout out to Kyle for that. And looking at, I haven't used CryptoBridge before, so I need to familiarize myself with that if I even want to acquire any Ravencoin. But it does look fairly interesting, and I think a lot of the transactional cryptocurrencies tend to do fairly well. And there have been good things that have been said around. Ravencoin by Bruce Fenton, also by, I think, Patrick Byrne, the CEO of Overstock, T0. So I think worth a look at least. I didn't see like an incredible amount of massive differentiation outside of the algorithm and some of the other things, but I need to dive into exactly like what the clear delineation is between a Ravencoin and some of the other transactional cryptocurrencies. And I know they have, I think, a different mining algorithm that's supposed to be more provably that's supposed to be a more fair distribution than some of the other ones right now that are ASIC dominated. So David mentioned CryptoBridge, easy to use, nice to use. Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to try it yet. So I'll definitely need to hop on that at some point in time. Taking a look at somebody said they're eating a buffalo chicken wrap. I'm jealous. I'm starving. I need to get dinner after this. Might just go cheese pizza. We'll do that. What do I think of BAT, Basic Attention Token? So I'm not on the Brave browser right now, but I have it open in another window down here. I do like Brave browser. I from a token economics perspective, I am unsure of exactly like what the long-term implication of a Basic Attention Token is, but I do receive Basic Attention Token. I do receive Basic Attention Token on my channel. There are some of you guys out there that are nice enough to donate or to allocate a portion of your Basic Attention Token to me on a monthly basis. And when I do receive that Basic Attention Token, I don't sell it, so I just keep that because I feel like the project is strong enough that I'll just receive that BAT, hold on to it for the time being, maybe in the future evaluate selling it. But I like the project, and I do think it has long-term potential. I also like how responsive the team is via Twitter, whether it's the CEO Brendan or one of the founders there, Brendan. Also, the lead devs are pretty quick. Like if I tweet something out about Brave browser, if I say something, usually they're on Twitter in an hour or two, and somebody might comment and say, "Hey, I don't like this," or "I don't like this," and they're not yelling at you. They're saying, okay, wow, we can like work that into the actual product. We can make some improvements on that. And I like that approach from the team a lot more than sometimes when people make a criticism about a project or a software where people get all upset, rather than just taking that criticism into heart and making improvements in their product based upon that, which I think is important. Thanks a lot, David. I appreciate that. So I tried to block the proof of work comments, but apparently there's one phrase there that's getting through. So I'll just ban anybody who's talking about that, because I'm not here to talk about smart contract Ponzi schemes. Yeah, Kyle, delete them all, kid. Delete them all. Have I looked into Sky? Yeah, so I have looked into Sky a little bit. I have looked into Skycoin. They've performed well in addition too. So I looked into Skycoin probably about a month or two ago. Did a little bit of diligence. I thought they were kind of trying to accomplish a lot, which made me a little bit nervous. But over the past month, they've really, I mean, they might be one of the. They bottomed out maybe at, I don't know, what was it, $9. They're back up to $12 at this point in time. So Skycoin has accomplished, I mean, from a market perspective, Skycoin's done really well. They were I was at the Global Blockchain Forum in San Francisco or Santa Clara last week. They had a booth there. I didn't get a chance to talk to them too much, but I've been impressed how they performed. I think that they are trying to take on a lot, which makes me a little bit nervous, just because when I feel like a project tries to do too much, sometimes it doesn't do anything. But it seems like they're picking up a little bit of momentum. I mean, I don't think they were anywhere near a top 100 cryptocurrency previously, but now they are. So good on them. So a couple comments. One about Nano. I'm actually going to be getting. I'm going to be meeting one of the guys from Nano, one of the lead developers from Nano, later next week. So I'll save some comments until then. I'm excited to speak with one of their developers and learn a little bit more about kind of what they're doing, their roadmap. But all the interactions that I've had with that specific individual have been really solid, and I just like his approach to the overall kind of market in general. And he seems like a logical dude, so I'm excited to meet him in person and just get a better feel for the overall project, kind of what they're about, what they're trying to do, what the long-term vision is, and how they can really execute on that in the long run. So I'll reserve comments on Nano for that. Austin says, what are your thoughts about Hashgraph? So if you didn't get a chance to see, I did have Jordan Freed from Hashgraph on the channel yesterday. I had an interview with Jordan yesterday morning from Hashgraph, and I think that it's a very interesting product, or a very interesting platform. I think that it is going to get, personally, I think it's going to get a lot of similar criticisms that Ripple gets, where people criticize Ripple because it is led by maybe like a centralized company, and it's more closed sourced in nature. Hashgraph is similar in the sense that it is also the platform, or the product the code base itself is not open sourced, and they have a specific governance model behind that with the 39 entities. And I think that it will be, from my understanding of the technology, at a high level, I think the technology sounds like it could, if it does come to fruition, it could be incredible, and I think would probably be a top 10 cryptocurrency potentially if they can execute on what the vision is. It's just going to be it's a very different approach than a Bitcoin is, or than a Monero is, or than a Litecoin is, which is open source and you have a number of developers working on it. You have the lead devs and things like that, but it's very, like, for the most part, a decentralized model. There's certainly an element of centralization that is associated with Hashgraph, and there are people that will like that, and then there's also the kind of the true cypherpunks that will probably not like that. So I think a lot of people are going to love it, and I think a lot of people are not going to, which will be interesting to see how it pans out in the long run. But if it does what they say it can do, I don't think it will matter how many people don't like it. I think it will still do really well. What are your thoughts on a glass of chocolate milk? I'm not a big milk guy. So looking at some of these, looking at some of these questions, some of these comments here. Thoughts on A-Chain. So I got a chance to hear A-Chain speak at an event recently. I think it was the NAC3 event in LA. Got a chance to hear them talk a little bit. Another platform play. There are, obviously there's quite a number of platform plays right now. I don't even know if A-Chain is listed. So A-Chain's not on A-Chain here. No. So A-Chain is another platform play that I think a lot of people are looking at. Smaller in nature than the majority of the others. It's $80 million market cap or so. But they are moving. I believe they're trying to move a lot of the operations to the US, or trying to gain additional exposure to the US. Whether or not that happens, who knows? But I guess there's other platforms that I'm looking at that I have more interest in. They've been around for a while as well. So Slavic mentioned a couple videos back, you interviewed somebody, mentioned Bitcoin going down to $4,000. Has that person changed their mind, or still do I think they still feel that will happen? So that was Prince from the Crypto Street podcast. Where's Prince? So here we go. You guys want to follow Prince? Throw him. Here you go. So that was Prince when I was on the Crypto Street podcast and then live streamed that. So that was a while ago, actually, when he had mentioned I think max pain is going to be $4,000. I have no idea if Prince still feels that way, but I mean, that could definitely be possible. That I think we were at about $12,000 at that point in time, Bitcoin wise, $10,000, $11,000, $12,000, something like that, and we all kind of laughed him out of the room, and he might be right. So you don't mess with a bear. What do you think about Redcoin, its longevity? I haven't done enough diligence on Redcoin to make any type of educated assumption on that. Yeah, that's true, Kyle. That's true. What do we got? So the ASIC resistance is something too. I see Edward talking about that ASIC resistance with Monero right now that's going on. I guess the Monero fork to avoid the Bitmain ASIC miners. That'll be interesting to see how that pans out. And there's a lot of kind of heated discussion around what that means for the Monero in the long term, what that means for the industry in the long term. I'm not sure if you guys have any thoughts on that. Would love to hear if you have specific thoughts, if you think that's a positive thing to move away from, to move towards ASIC resistance and away from kind of that scenario, or if there's something else there that you guys think. Would love to hear about that. I need to kind of just continue to dive into that a little bit further as well. Matthew Peterson, what's up, man? Substratum is coming in very hot soon. I don't know, from Substratum's perspective, it's not my personally, it's not my like number one choice. I don't really have any interest in, at least for me, I don't have a massive interest in kind of what they're trying to accomplish, I guess, per se. But I mean, it looks like it's stabilized a little bit in terms of, it seems like it potentially bottomed out in the past 7 days to the past month. Hasn't really gotten crushed like some of the other tokens have. So I mean, that might be a positive sign. I think Sub might have potentially bottomed out. Where's Sub actually? Yeah, it's on Binance and Kuku. It's basically everywhere. So got some decent liquidity there. Not a ton of volume, but there's a lot of chance for you to get that if you want it. You said means I'm pointing my 1070s at Monero. Good for you. So popping in here. Do you have any thoughts on U.S. regulations on crypto in relation to non-U.S. coins like Neo? Well, I mean, so the thing is, I guess in some respects, like depending upon where, if it's a truly decentralized cryptocurrency, then does it necessarily matter where, where it's from? Not necessarily. It just matters where it's being traded. At least in my opinion, or, one of the things there. It's not like, if Bitcoin or Ethereum or some of these other ones are Neo. Neo's supposed to be a decentralized platform. Yes, the foundation might be based out of Asia, but if it's traded in the U.S., I'm sure the U.S. U.S. regulators are potentially looking at that if they think one thing or another. But yeah, I think it matters kind of more where it's trading. Call the bottom for 2018. I think we're pretty close. To be pretty frank, I could certainly be wrong. I mean, I could definitely be wrong. But when it comes down to it, I think we might be. Jesus. I think we might be fairly close to when I'm looking at, the past year. I think there is a lot of tax sell pressure. I think that there is a good amount of tax sell pressure that we're seeing across the board, both with retail, institutional investors as well. So we're at what, a $250 billion market cap right now. Maybe we go down to maybe we go down to 175 billion or so, and then I don't know. I'm feeling like we're kind of at the point where I don't want to say we're consolidating because we've just continued to go lower and lower and lower, but I do feel fairly confident that the market will recover in the near future. Outside of that, guys, it's a little bit cheap of me, but crypto half happy hour tonight. But wanted to just pop in, say what's up, answer some questions, get a little bit of a chance to talk about some of the, I think, cryptos, like I said, Ontology, OmiseGO, Verge, even though I'm not a big Verge fan at all, but Verge holding up pretty strong, even though they got a mining attack that stole basically a bunch of money. But yeah, I wanted to pop in, talk a little bit about that, talk about kind of what I'm seeing in the market, as well as answer as many questions as I possibly could here. But feeling pretty hungry at this point in time, so I want to pop out, grab some food. I will be around. We'll have a recorded video for you tomorrow. Coin Face, what's up, brother? Hope all is well. Always good to see you, man. And yeah, hope you guys have a fantastic Friday night. And again, video tomorrow coming up, as well as Sunday. So thank you guys so much for the time. Hope you have a good one. Peace.